My name is Naomi Hart. I am 36 years old. For as long as I can remember, I have been the disappointment in my family, the one who never quite measured up, the one who made choices that were never quite right, the one who was always compared to my older sister Delilah and always found wanting. I grew up in the shadow of her perfection, always reaching for something I could never quite grasp, always falling short of the impossible standards my parents had set for me. I learned early on that I was the one who would never be enough, the one who would always be a burden, the one who would always be a problem. I learned to shrink myself, to make myself small, to apologize for my very existence. Delilah is perfect, she always has been. She got straight A's in school, went to an Ivy League university, married a wealthy doctor and gave my parents 2 perfect grandchildren. She has a beautiful house in the suburbs, a successful career as a corporate attorney, and a life that looks like it belongs on the cover of a magazine. She is everything my parents ever wanted. And I am everything they never wanted. Every family gathering, every holiday dinner, every phone call was a reminder of the vast chasm between us. Delilah was the golden child, and I was the shadow she cast. I was the cautionary tale they told at dinner parties, the example of what happened when you didn't apply yourself, when you made bad choices, when you threw your life away. I was the one who struggled in school, the one who couldn't sit still, couldn't focus, couldn't fit into the mold they had created for me. I was the one who got pregnant at 19, dropped out of college, and had to scrape together a living as a single mother. I was the one who married a man my parents disapproved of and then divorced him 2 years later. I was the one who always seemed to be on the verge of disaster, always just one step away from falling apart. I was the one who could never do anything right, the one who was always a disappointment, the one who was always a burden. I had internalized their judgment so deeply that I had come to believe it myself. I was the problem. I was the mistake. I was the one who didn't belong. I carried this belief with me like a heavy stone, dragging me down, making every step a struggle. And now I was pregnant again. It happened by accident. I had been dating a man named Marcus for about a year. He was kind, patient, and understanding. He knew about my past, about my struggles, about the mistakes I had made. He didn't judge me. He didn't compare me to my sister. He just loved me. He saw me for who I really was, not the disappointment, not the failure, not the black sheep, just me. He saw the strength I had hidden beneath years of shame, the resilience I had cultivated in the face of constant rejection, the love I had to give despite never having received it in return. He saw the woman I could become, the woman I was meant to be. And when I told him I was pregnant, he didn't run away. He didn't make excuses. He just smiled and said, "We're going to be parents. We're going to figure this out together." I wanted to be happy. I wanted to feel the same joy I had felt when I found out I was pregnant with my first child, my daughter Lily. But instead I felt fear. I felt dread. I felt the weight of my mother's judgment pressing down on me like a physical force. I could already hear her voice in my head, sharp and dismissive, telling me I had made another mistake, that I was ruining my life again, that I would never amount to anything. I could see her face, twisted in disapproval, and I could feel the familiar shame creeping up my spine. I could feel myself shrinking again, becoming smaller, becoming less. But this time something was different. This time there was a voice inside me, small but insistent, that said, "No, not this time, not again." I knew I had to tell her. I knew I couldn't hide it forever. So on a Sunday afternoon I gathered my courage and drove to my parents' house. It was a beautiful home in an exclusive neighborhood, the kind of house that announced to the world that the people who lived there had made it. I walked up the front steps, my heart pounding in my chest, and rang the doorbell. My mother opened the door. She was wearing a silk blouse and designer jeans, her hair perfectly styled, her makeup flawless. She looked at me with a mixture of annoyance and impatience. "Naomi," she said, "what are you doing here? You didn't tell me you were coming." "I need to talk to you," I said. "It's important." She sighed and stepped aside. "Fine, come in, but I have a dinner party to get ready for, so make it quick." I walked into the living room. It was immaculate as always. The furniture was expensive, the art was tasteful, the flowers were fresh. Everything was in its place, everything was perfect. I sat down on the edge of the couch, my hands clasped tightly in my lap, and took a deep breath. "Mom," I said, "I'm pregnant." For a moment she didn't say anything. She just stared at me, her face expressionless. Then she laughed. She actually laughed. "You're kidding, right? Tell me you're kidding." "I'm not kidding," I said. "I'm pregnant. Marcus and I are going to have a baby." She shook her head slowly, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "Of course you are, of course you are. Just when I thought you might finally be getting your life together, you go and do something like this. Another baby, another problem. What were you thinking, Naomi? What were you thinking? I felt the words like a physical blow. Each one was a knife, each one was a wound, each one was a betrayal. It's not a problem, I said. It's a baby, it's a blessing. A blessing, my mother laughed again. Naomi, you can barely take care of yourself, you can barely take care of Lily, and now you want to bring another child into this world. Another child who will grow up in poverty, who will struggle the way you've struggled, who will be a burden to everyone around them. No, Naomi, this isn't a blessing. This is a mistake, another problem. I stood up, my hands were shaking, my eyes were burning. I'm not a problem, I said, and neither is my baby. I'm not going to sit here and let you talk to me like this. I'm not going to let you make me feel like I'm worthless. I'm done. I walked out of the house. I didn't look back. I didn't say goodbye. I just left. I drove home in a daze. My mind was racing, my heart was pounding, my hands were shaking. I replayed my mother's words over and over in my head. Another problem, another mistake, another burden. She had laughed at me, she had mocked me, she had made me feel like I was nothing. The tears came hot and fast, blurring my vision as I drove. I had to pull over to the side of the road to let them flow. I sat there for what felt like hours, crying, shaking, feeling the weight of my mother's rejection pressing down on me like a physical force. I felt the familiar shame, the familiar worthlessness, the familiar despair. But then something else emerged, something I hadn't felt in a long time. Anger, not the self-destructive anger that had plagued me in my youth, but a different kind of anger, a righteous anger. An anger that said, I am not what you say I am not your problem, I am not your burden. I am a woman, a mother, a human being, and I deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. This anger was a fire that burned away the shame, that cleared the fog of self-doubt, that gave me the strength to stand up and fight for myself and my children. And then I made a decision that would change everything, a decision that would change the course of my life and the lives of everyone around me. I was done. Done with my mother's judgment, done with my family's expectations, done with being the black sheep, the disappointment, the one who could never do anything right. I was going to be the best mother I could be. I was going to raise my children with love and respect and compassion. I was going to build a life for myself and my children that was full of joy and purpose, and I was going to do it without my mother's approval. I was going to do it for myself, for my children, for the family I was creating. I was going to break the cycle of pain and rejection, and I was going to build something new. I didn't call my mother after that day. I didn't visit her. I didn't send her a birthday card or a Christmas present. I didn't tell her when my baby was born. I didn't invite her to the baby shower. I didn't send her a photo. I just cut her out of my life. It was the hardest thing I had ever done, but it was also the most liberating. For the first time in my life I was free from her judgment, free from her expectations, free from her rejection. The silence that followed was both painful and healing. It was painful because it was a reminder of what I had lost, the hope of a mother's love. But it was healing because it was a reminder of what I had gained, the freedom to be myself. I no longer had to perform, to pretend, to shrink. I could just be. I focused on my pregnancy. I went to every doctor's appointment. I took my prenatal vitamins. I ate healthy food. I exercised. I prepared for the arrival of my baby with a sense of purpose and determination that I had never felt before. Marcus was by my side every step of the way. He held my hand during the ultrasounds. He rubbed my feet when they were swollen. He told me I was beautiful when I felt anything but. He was my rock, my anchor, my safe harbor in the storm of my family's rejection. He never questioned my choices, never judged my past, never made me feel like I was anything less than enough. Lily, my eldest daughter, was excited about the baby. She was 7 years old at the time, and she had been asking for a sibling for years. She would press her ear to my belly and talk to the baby, telling it about her day, about her friends, about all the things they would do together when the baby arrived. She helped me pick out baby clothes and nursery decorations. She was my little partner, my little helper, my little rock. She gave me hope that I could break the cycle of rejection and create a family built on love, not judgment. She reminded me that I was already a good mother, that I had already created one beautiful human being, and that I could do it again. When my daughter Maya was born, I held her in my arms and I cried. Not because I was sad, because I was happy. Because I had created something beautiful, because I had proven to myself that I was not a problem, I was not a mistake, I was a mother, and I was going to be the best mother I could possibly be. I looked at her tiny face, her perfect fingers, her peaceful expression, and I made a promise to her and to myself. I would never let her feel the way my mother had made me feel. I would never make her feel like a problem, a burden, a mistake. I would love her unconditionally, support her unwaveringly, and believe in her completely. I would give her the childhood I never had, the love I was never given, the acceptance I was always denied. I went back to school. I finished my degree online while taking care of 2 children. It was hard, it was exhausting. There were days when I didn't think I could make it. There were days when I wanted to give up, but I didn't. I kept going, I kept pushing, I kept believing in myself. I would wake up at 5 in the morning to study before the children woke up. I would do my homework during nap times and after they went to bed. I would take my textbooks with me to the park, to the doctor's office, to the grocery store. I was determined to make a better life for my children, to show them that they could achieve anything they set their minds to. I was determined to break the cycle of poverty and dependency that had plagued my family for generations. I was determined to show them that their mother was strong, capable, and worthy of respect. When I graduated, I got a job at a small accounting firm. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't high-paying, but it was a start, it was a step forward. It was proof that I could do it, that I could build a life for myself and my children. I worked hard, I learned quickly, and I earned the respect of my colleagues and my bosses. I took on extra projects, volunteered for difficult assignments, and proved that I was capable of more than anyone had ever expected of me. I was no longer the failure, the disappointment, the black sheep. I was a professional, a mother, a woman who had overcome incredible odds. Marcus and I got married. It was a small ceremony in the backyard of our modest home. No fancy flowers, no expensive dress, no catered meal, just a few friends, a lot of love, and a future full of hope. We built a life together, brick by brick, day by day. It wasn't easy, there were struggles, there were setbacks. There were moments when we wondered if we would make it. But we did. We held each other up, encouraged each other, and never gave up on each other. Our marriage was not perfect, but it was real. It was built on a foundation of mutual respect, shared values, and unwavering commitment. Years passed, Lily grew up, Maya grew up. They were smart, kind, and beautiful young women. They had their mother's determination and their father's warmth. They were everything I had ever hoped they would be. Lily went to college on a full scholarship. She studied engineering and graduated with honors. She got a job at a prestigious firm and started building a successful career. She was strong, independent, and compassionate. She was everything I had ever wanted for her. Maya followed in her footsteps, excelling in school and earning a scholarship of her own. They were both strong, independent, and compassionate. They were everything I had ever wanted for them. They had broken the cycle. They had risen above the limitations that had been placed on them. They had become the women I had always known they could be. And I was proud of them, prouder than I had ever been of anything in my life. I built a successful career. I became a partner at the accounting firm. I bought a house. I saved for my children's education. I created a life that I was proud of, and I did it all without my mother's approval. I did it all on my own terms, with my own strength, with my own determination. I had proven to myself and to the world that I was not a problem. I was not a burden. I was a force to be reckoned with. Delilah, my perfect sister, had her own struggles. Her husband left her for a younger woman. Her children struggled with addiction. Her career stalled. She lost her house, her money, her status. She came to me one day, broken and defeated, and asked for my help. I helped her. I didn't rub her nose in it. I didn't say I told you so. I just helped her because she was my sister, because she was family, because I knew what it felt like to be broken and defeated and to need someone to believe in you. I let her stay with me while she got back on her feet. I helped her find a job, helped her rebuild her life. I was there for her in a way that she had never been there for me. And it changed our relationship. It made us closer. It made us real sisters, not just blood relatives. We began to talk, really talk, about our childhood, about our parents, about the ways they had pitted us against each other. We began to heal together. My mother, meanwhile, had aged. My father had passed away. She was alone in that big house in the suburbs, surrounded by the trappings of a life that had lost its meaning. She reached out to me. She called me. She wrote me letters. She apologized. She said she was sorry for how she had treated me. She said she had been wrong. She said she wanted to be part of my life again. I didn't answer her calls. I didn't respond to her letters. I didn't visit her. I had spent too many years being hurt by her. I had spent too many years being made to feel like I was nothing. I had spent too many years being the black sheep, the disappointment, the one who could never do anything right. The scars she had left on my heart were deep, and I wasn't sure they would ever fully heal. I had built a wall around my heart to protect myself, and I wasn't ready to tear it down. But then I got a call from Delilah. "Naomi," she said, "Mom is dying. She has cancer. She doesn't have much time left. She wants to see you. She wants to see the girls. Please, Naomi, please come." I didn't want to go, I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction of having me at her bedside, of having me forgive her, of having me make her feel better about the way she had treated me. I wanted to hold on to my anger. I wanted to protect myself from being hurt again. I wanted to keep the wall I had built around my heart. I had spent so many years building that wall, brick by brick, that I couldn't imagine what life would be like without it. But I walked into her hospital room. She looked small and frail, nothing like the formidable woman who had laughed at me all those years ago. She reached out her hand to me. "Naomi," she whispered, I'm so sorry for everything. I was wrong, I was so wrong, please forgive me." I stood there looking at my mother, the woman who had raised me, the woman who had judged me, the woman who had hurt me, and I felt something I hadn't expected. I felt pity, I felt compassion, I felt love. I saw her vulnerability, her regret, her desperation. I saw a woman who had been trapped by her own expectations, her own fears, her own insecurities. I saw a woman who had pushed away the very person she needed most. I saw a woman who had been just as broken as I was. "Mom," I said, "I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I need to let go of the anger. I need to let go of the pain, I need to move forward." She cried, I cried, we held each other, and for the first time in years I felt like I had my mother back. My mother passed away a few weeks later. I was at her bedside, I held her hand, I told her I loved her, and I meant it. I have learned a lot over the past 36 years. I have learned that life is not fair. I have learned that people will hurt you, even the people you love the most. I have learned that you can survive almost anything if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. But the most important thing I have learned is this: you don't need anyone's permission to build the life you want. You don't need anyone's approval to be happy. You don't need anyone's validation to be worthy. You are worthy, you are enough, you are powerful, and you are loved. My mother laughed at my pregnancy. She called my baby another problem. She made me feel like I was nothing, but I proved her wrong. I built a life that I am proud of. I raised two beautiful daughters who are kind, smart, and compassionate. I found love, I found success, I found peace. And in the end, that was the greatest victory of all. End.